1 million people were killed at a pace recorded nowhere else in human history. And mostly by brute force, by
manual. It wasn't guns.
Yeah, it was very well organized.
bullets.
And unfortunately, Rwanda has a nyumba kumi. In fact, that's where this system of nyumba kumi came from. So the local umudugudu, they call him, knows where everybody is from, who married who, and that is who had the records.
The list.
Yes.
The thing is, what most people don't realize is that before these borders were drawn by Europeans.
Correct.
Right? And we follow history, tukisema hizo migrations, where we came from and where people lived next to each other. They were not divided mostly by tribe, but the land that was where they lived on, it was divided by the Europeans into the borders.
Yeah.
Now, among those communities that lived evil, they also intermarried a lot.
Yes.
And that is why you find me, I'm called a Chin and I'm a Luria. It's because...
Ati you're called what?
Ati unaitwaje? So you then have this mass displacement, mini wars that happened in the 1950s, 60s of Tutsis specifically being targeted by the governments in their communities. It culminated in 1994 when you had this seminal event that shocked the whole world. You know, there was 3 months of mayhem when a genocide happened and 1 million people were killed at a pace recorded nowhere else in human history. And mostly by brute force, by
manual. It wasn't guns.
Yeah, it was very well organized. And unfortunately, Rwanda has a nyumba kumi. In fact, that's where this system of nyumba kumi came from. So the local umudugudu, they call him, knows where everybody is from, who married who, and that is who had the records.
The list.
Yes. Of who
and
they
the
want
class
to.
prefect.
That's who they want to eliminate.
Yes, nenda here's a list.
Yeah. So then comes
ukienda kwa kuna OneMic uende kwa hii nyumba pale hawa ndio watu nataka. Ni hawa.
Si hapa DMV tuko na jamii. Na jamii ni nyumba kumi. So the nyumba kumi chair knows everybody. Where you're from. And if you've been living in that community for many years, they know everything about your background, who is your mother, who is...
Right.
So then the killings started.
Correct.
It was very systematic, very well organized. It was a well-oiled machine. And they butchered the Tutsi population at record numbers, at record speed. And obviously it was based on this long-standing resentment. We can talk about like the reasons, but it's a long story.
Yes.
So this continues for 3 months, and then a former intelligence officer by the name of Kagame, at the time, he was the head of intelligence in the Ugandan army. So, by the way, in fact, Kagame, his wife was even in Kenya. A lot of Rwandans found refuge in different cities.
Oh yeah, I remember that time because nilikuwa nafanya français.
Walikuwa wengi.
Alliance Français. Parler français. J'étais là-bas Alliance Français avec mes amis. Pierre Dukuru. Pierre Sedou. And we had some
a lot of instructors.
Not even that, like students, like some of the students.
I remember my French teacher was from Rwanda.
Yeah,
in high school.
There was this young hot from Rwanda, but like she was coming to
Français.
Oui. You could have just continue.
So the Rwandans in the who are by this time refugees, mostly in the countries around the north, Kenya, in Uganda, in Tanzania. There's a lot of Rwandans who now fled.
Rwandese?
Yes. Tutsi, specifically Tutsi, who fled the country.
Correct.
Right? Because obviously, I mean, you've just witnessed a lot of horror. Entire families were being wiped out.
Yes.
So Arang Tagami is formed. Kagame was at the no. In fact, he was not at the helm. He was the head of intelligence also in that army. By the way, this guy called Museveni is a Muhima, and Muhima, Bahima, are part of the Banyankole.
They are Rwandese.
They are not Rwandese. They are not Rwandese.
They're the Ugandan.
No, they are not. They are a cousin tribe.
Okay.
So it's when we think of Masai and Samburu, Kikuyus and Merus.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So Bahima, I think even their language is mutually intelligible, but they are not Batuts.
Not
they
quite.
Are ethnically related.
Yes.
So they had a lot of support also from the Ugandan side. So they charge into. They were literally racing against time to stop the genocide,
Mayhem,
heading towards Kigali. And after a few engagements, they made it to the capital and they took power. So then fast forward, between 1994 and the 2000s, these former genocidaires, they call them Interahamwe. They scattered. Of course, these people scattered in Interahamwe. It's pronounced Interahamwe. No, I've heard it being pronounced in Terra. Interahamwe. These people scatter into the diaspora. Now it's reversed. Most of them go to Congo. Many go to allies, French allies who are supporting them. So many went to Belgium. Some came even to the US. You remember the story with this guy called Rusesabagina. We will get to that later. But a lot of them went into the diaspora. Yeah, and the leaders, sort of, some of them vanished into the woodwork. In fact, one was reported to have hidden in Kenya for many years. It was a big source of contention. So basically, the way they resolved the whole conflict around the genocide was they set up Gachasha courts, local courts, where the perpetrators were forgiven. Some of them were jailed, and then the ones who were the planners, those ones were tried in criminal courts around the world. Some of them in the ICC and other places. But the result of that is that the switch was flipped. So now the Interahamwe were on the run, and the RPF took power under Kagame and is held power until to date. What subsequently happened, which is now where we are today, is the Interahamwe, when they went to Congo, they regrouped and formed the
M23.
Not M23. They formed what is it called? FARC.
Okay.
Yes. So they formed a variety of militias. So they were part of, they formed, they supported a variety of militia groups within, particularly in North and South Kivu. On our map there, those border county provinces. North Kivu and South Kivu exactly border Rwanda and Burundi. On one side of Lake Kivu is South Kivu, on the other side is North Kivu. On the other side of the border, you have Rwanda and Burundi on the other side, which is predominantly a region that's populated by ethnic Tutsis. And these guys have been in those regions from time immemorial. In any recorded history, but Tutsi have been in that region of the world since the 11th century. There's recorded history of evidence that has been found that these people are ethnic or indigenous to those regions. But now you have this enemy force that has come in. And what do they start doing? They continue pushing that agenda to eliminate the Tutsi. And obviously, politically, what it did, it sort of, already there was tension, because in Africa, around the entire continent, you have inter-ethnic conflict. If you go to northern Kenya, it's Turkanas with Toposas on this side and Karamojas on the other side. Turkanas fighting with Merus over water. You have Somalis fighting over the border. So already those conflicts were there between the Batutsi and other ethnic communities, because they would say, because you are Tutsi and Rwandan speaking, it's like the Maasais are being told, you are Kenyans, go back. Right? Tanzanian Maasais being told you are Kenyans. If in Kenya we started saying Abasamia are not Kenyans, they need to go back over the border. You see, this border started playing this mind game on the population. So the ethnic communities around them had already got these historic grievances, because they are pastoralists, So there's also obviously conflicts over water, conflicts over land, but it was inflamed further by now the presence of this Interahamwe, who now formed these militias. Unfortunately, the Congolese government then looks at this situation, and with all their biases, instead of working towards integrating their local Tutsi population, they start working with the Interahamwe, former Interahamwe, and their associated groups.
By local Tutsi population, you mean people who...
Banyamulenge. Now the Banyamulenge.
Those ones are
hapo Kivu.
the originals.
Yeah, the indigenous.
Siwa Rwanda.
No.
Yeah, but obviously kuna sasa wale
ni kama vile wa Masai.
But remember there are those who came from that side.
Yeah, kuna wale walikuwa refugees, alafu kuna wale ni familia. Ni kama yule former deputy president wetu. Namkumbuka. Alikuwa anaitwa sio Rigiji. Ule wa Kibaki. Alikuwa anaitwa
the guy who guys everybody was saying had died.
Moody Awori's brother.
Yes.
Unakumbuka ndugu yake alikuwa MP Uganda at the same time. Yeah. So Wasamia pia hata Wajaluo si ni Walangi Langos etc going into Uganda. Mika.
Yeah, the thing is what most people don't realize is that before these borders were drawn by Europeans.
Correct.
Right? And we follow history to Kisamahizo migrations, where we came from and where people lived next to each other. They were not divided mostly by tribe, but the land that was where they lived on, it was divided by the Europeans and to the borders.
Yeah.
Now, among those communities that lived evil, they also intermarried a lot.
Yes.
And that is why you find me, I'm called a Chen and I'm a Luria. It's because
you're called what?
Where I'm from, if I go 30 kilometers, niko Uganda.
Yes.
Ni mtu wa border.
If I go 20 kilometers, niko Nyanza.
Correct.
Unaona? If I go south another 30 kilometers, niko na Wasamia, because the Samias are the next group next to us. Like basically sisi na Wasamia tunaishi pamoja hivi, unaona? If I come up this side naenda kwa Wawanga, where the Wanga kingdom ilikuwa, unaona? Like right now, like basically these are rivers separating these different places of these different sub-tribes. Ethnically, we are all the same. Si wote ni Waluya. Si wongeta baka Wajaluo huko kwetu usikie Kiluya, na sisi Waluya kwetu usikie Kijaluo. Si usikie Kiganda na tumeona na Waganda. Alafu tuko na Wateso bado hii side nyingine ya juu.
Na Wateso wako pande zote mbili ya border.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasamia na Wateso.
And then wako side zote mbili za border. Yeah, the same thing. The same ukienda side ya Uganda, Busia Uganda, utapata kuna Waluya wanaishi.
Mimi ni moenda
na kuna nini?
Huko naitwa Tororo. Nilienda huko Arusi. It was conducted in Luo, Kiganda na Kiswahili.
Yep.
Na Kisamia.
Because Tororo is basically like what? It's like 30 minutes from Malaba.
Yeah, from the border. It's not far. And then, by the way, Mika, this dynamic which you're describing was the same in Rwanda. Today, if you go to Rwanda today, I know this. I've been around Rwanda a bit.
We know.
This division between Bahutu and Batutsi, based on those colonial descriptions, by the way, does not exist. Yep. If someone who was like my, in my family, let me just say in my larger family, if I was to go with those classifications, me and my daughter will not even be classified the same. By the way, she's been here. I think you've seen her. She has a bit of her mom's characteristics, but she has my grandfather's skin color. So if she was in Rwanda, she'd be classified one thing. Her mother would be classified another thing. Me, I'd be classified another thing. So those classifications, and then over and above that, there was a lot of intermarriage between these so-called historic ethnic groups, which were different. Bahutu and Batutsi, there is no family in Rwanda today, including even the president's family, who cannot claim from both sides. It is not true that they are tall. It is not true that they are short. It's not true that they are brown. It's not true. These are the same ethnic group, just different now clans and features.